The Grand Theft Auto series has become one of the most recognizable video game franchises around the world. Initially, it was supposed to be a simple game of policemen and robbers, and in the end, it became a great example of the lives of various types of gangsters and their motives. In 2001, Rockstar North opened the 3D universe for us, creating 3 parts of GTA over the next few years, which showed other developers how games of this genre should look like. Of course, many other games appeared at the same time that tried to replicate Rockstar North's success. Some were better at it, others a little worse. However, none of GTA's competitors managed to flourish, and certainly not to that extent. Why did it happen this way and not otherwise? We will try to answer this question in today's episode. At the beginning, we will take a closer look at the driver. The first part, released in late June 1999, introduced us to the world of undercover cop John Tanner. Although the game itself presents a rather primitive appearance of the metropolises visited by the player, at that time what appeared in front of our eyes was really something. It was this open-world title that drove other developers to create similar games and, in a way, set the standards of the genre. Unfortunately, the driver's great weakness was undeniably the fact that Tanner was literally glued to the seat of the vehicle he was driving. Of course, in the next installments, it was possible to leave the car, but it was already a bit late. Interest in Driver dropped drastically after DMA Design conquered the market with its revolutionary Grand Theft Auto 3. What's more, the creators of GTA followed the blow, developing amazingly and creating subsequent parts of the trilogy that outclassed Driver. The advantage was so great that in every part of the trilogy, you can see moments where Rockstar North, wanting to emphasize its advantage even more, simply mocks the Driver series. For example, in GTA 3, we can find this in a mission for Asuka Kaysen, whose name is Two-Faced Tanner. As if that were not enough, Asuka describes Tanner as a strangely created undercover cop who is useless without his car and stands no chance in an open skirmish.
Our source in the police has informed us that one of our drivers is a strangely animated undercover cop. He's more or less useless out of his car.
While in GTA Vice City, during the Autoside mission for Mr. Black, our goal is, among other things, to murder Dick Tanner. This is another blunt example of mocking the protagonist of the Driver series. A similar reference was also present in GTA San Andreas, where this time, in the Mad Dogs Rhymes mission, during the introductory cutscene, we can see one of the bodyguards who plays a game by Refraction Studio, and the hero is Tanner.
This sucks! I mean, how can Refraction mess up so bad? Tanner, you suck ass!
Also, not only was the name of the game producer deliberately twisted, but also Mad Dog's bodyguard criticizes the game character, colloquially saying that he sucks. The third part of the Driver was still trying to compete with the might of the Grand Theft Auto series, but also still without positive results. Although many fans of Driver enjoyed the next part, many people admitted that there were many errors and shortcomings there, which effectively reduced the value of this title and increased the advantage of the Grand Theft Auto series. The only trick that Reflections Interactive could sweeten its defeat a bit was to repay Rockstar with exactly the same insults. Therefore, the studio threw a character with the identity of Timmy Vermicelli into the third installment of the series, which of course was a parody of Tommy Vercetti from GTA Vice City. As you can see on the screen, Vermicelli resembles Vercetti, and, most importantly, it is a kind of caricature of him. In the character of Vermicelli, a lot of ridiculous procedures were used, such as 2 large hands or inflatable shoulder pads for swimming, which of course allude to the fact that Tommy's contact with water usually does not end well for him. Unfortunately for the Driver series, these games did not change much, because the games from Reflections Interactive's wings simply differed significantly from the games from the Grand Theft Auto series. The game we're going to tell you about now also drew a lot from the first Driver. However, looking at the great triumph of GTA 3, everyone knew that if you were only inspired by the Driver and also by duplicating its mistakes, you wouldn't get too far. The end of August 2002 is coming. Grand Theft Auto 3 reaps the rewards by being indisputably the best sandbox game to date. At this point, the Czech studio Illusion Softworks decides to bring out the heaviest cannon, releasing The Mafia, a work inspired by the best gangster movies of all time like The Godfather. Rockstar North knows it has just met its greatest opponent. The Mafia achieves enormous success, becoming the best game in Mafia climates. The whole story is much more extensive than in GTA 3. It exemplifies the criminal underworld during the last years of Prohibition in the United States. In addition, it perfectly reflects the realism of vehicle damage and presents many interesting activities that were simply missing in GTA 3. Despite this, GTA still remained at the top. The question is why the Mafia failed to defeat the growing power of Grand Theft Auto. Certainly, one of the more sensible reasons is the long waiting of players for the continuation of the series. While Rockstar released more great productions, such as GTA Vice City, San Andreas, Liberty City Stories, Vice City Stories, GTA 4, crowds of Mafia fans had to wait until 2010 to receive a sequel. The monotonous expectations for the next installment of the series meant that, in the following years, fans began to simply abandon this game, especially since the next installments of GTA were like World Championship. In 2004, that is 2 years after the release of the first Mafia, GTA San Andreas was released, which has become such a good production that millions of players around the world have come back to this game even today. The development of technology also worked to Rockstar's advantage, making subsequent games in the series much more polished than the Mafia. And although Mafia 2 appealed to a very large number of players, it was just way too late. Another example of a failed attack on the Grand Theft Auto series is the game True Crime: Streets of LA, a game released by the developer Luxoflux in early November 2003. In the game, we play the role of a police detective, Nick Kang. As in the case of the previous rival of Rockstar North, Luxoflux also used the full elements of GTA 3. In the background, there are also memories of the first driver, where the protagonist is a policeman. Well-proven elements have been introduced to the game so far. However, the developers from Luxoflux knew very well that they had to add something to the game that would persuade players to stay with this title for longer. Luxoflux decided to go for a certain psychological interrogation tactic known as playing good or bad cop. In this game, it has been added in the literal sense of the word. Aside from purely story-driven aspects, players have the option of playing the cop who has no balls to overcome a certain moral barrier, or one who will bend the rules without inhibitions. Moreover, the decisions the player makes will have consequences and indirectly affect the ending of the story. Mentioning the Autoside mission from GTA Vice City once again, it seems Rockstar North had some very good informants. A nice few months before True Crime came out, Nick Kang's name was mentioned in the Autoside mission, twisting his name to Kong. Additionally, Rockstar North decided to make fun of this game for the second time, which this time happened in GTA San Andreas. Well, in this game, we will find a billboard with the words True Grime Street Cleaners, which is a total mixing of this production with mud. Another title that tried its luck was The Getaway, a British action game with two protagonists. 2 months after the release of Grand Theft Auto Vice City, British producer Team Soho decides to join the fight with the GTA series, taking full advantage of it, but also showing us a fairly innovative way of conducting the plot, which we see from the perspective of two people. These people are complete opposites. One of them is a former bank robber, and the other is a law enforcement officer in the Flying Squad unit. The fates of Mark Hammond and Frank Carter are constantly intertwined, which was initiated by Charlie Jolson, who becomes their common enemy. Plenty of real-world weapons, coupled with the lack of a sandbox-style HUD, made the game quickly noticed, including by Rockstar North. And here again, in GTA Vice City, again in the mission Autoside, we can find references to the main characters of the game. They are presented there as Marcus Hammond, Franco Carter, and Charlie Dilson. Twisting one of the elements was of course supposed to ridicule the production, which, like in the case of True Crime, has not even hit the mark yet. At the end, we left the humorous icing on the cake. We are talking about a game by the producer of Radical Entertainment, which is a sandbox in the Simpsons universe. The game saw the light of day in November 2003 and has even become a kind of meme directed at the GTA series. In this installment, we have a very extensive plot available, plus a lot of mechanics taken from GTA 3 or Vice City, especially when it comes to driving. The game offers us a lot of fun. In addition, The Simpsons will surely appeal to fans of the Grand Theft Auto series. It is true that there is no question of killing yellowish men, but even without it, the fun is great. As we can see, there were quite a few games that tried to convince fans of the Grand Theft Auto series. However, the performance, uniqueness, satire, and many other factors distinguish GTA from its competitors enough not to leave any illusions why this franchise rules. Meanwhile, that would be it for this episode. We invite you to check out other episodes, such as the one about CJ's influence on Catalina, which is now showing up on your screen. See you in the next video. Bye!